Welcome back to the channel. Today, we dive into the eerie world of office-time horror stories. Imagine the fluorescent lights flickering above, casting long, unnerving shadows as you toil away long after everyone else has gone home. But something else is lurking in the silence, something sinister that watches you from the darkness.
Our first story takes us to a high-rise office building in the heart of a bustling city. It seemed like any other office building, filled with the daily grind of deadlines, meetings, and coffee breaks. But at night, the building took on a life of its own. Employees working late began to report strange and unsettling noises, footsteps echoing down empty hallways, disembodied whispers seeming to seep from the very walls themselves, and the unsettling feeling of being watched. One employee, a young woman named Sarah, found herself consistently working late. She was driven and ambitious, often the last one to leave the office. One evening, as she was wrapping up a project, she heard a soft, raspy voice whispering her name. It seemed to come from the air vent just above her head. Her blood ran cold. She quickly turned off her computer and grabbed her things, her heart pounding in her chest. As she hurried down the deserted hallway, the whispering grew louder, following her every step. She could feel a cold presence breathing down her neck, but whenever she turned around, there was nothing there. Terrified, Sarah sprinted towards the elevator, her breath catching in her throat. As the elevator doors closed behind her, she could have sworn she saw a shadowy figure standing at the end of the hallway, its eyes glowing an eerie red in the dim emergency lights.
Our next story takes us to a small tech startup company, where the employees prided themselves on their late-night work sessions and collaborative spirit. One night, a group of employees were working late, putting the finishing touches on a major presentation. As they huddled around a computer screen, they noticed something strange in the reflection of the darkened window. A figure, tall and slender, seemed to be standing in the hallway behind them. Startled, they quickly turned around, but the hallway was empty. Confused, they brushed it off as a trick of the light and went back to work. But as the night wore on, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Every time they looked up, they would catch another glimpse of the figure in the window's reflection, always just out of sight. One brave employee, Mark, decided to investigate. He cautiously made his way down the darkened hallway, his heart pounding in his chest. As he approached the spot where the figure had been standing, he felt a cold chill run down his spine. He could sense that something was wrong, that he was not alone. He slowly peered around the corner, bracing himself for whatever might be there. But the hallway was empty. Just as he was about to turn back, he heard a soft, raspy voice whispering his name. The voice seemed to be coming from the ceiling, but when he looked up, there was nothing there.
This next story revolves around an office worker named Emily, a quiet and diligent employee who kept to herself. She was used to the quiet solitude of working late, often staying long after everyone else had left. However, her solitary routine took a sinister turn when she began receiving a series of threatening emails. The emails were always sent from an unknown sender, and they contained chilling messages that seemed to know her every move. At first, they were vague and unsettling. "We're watching you," one read. "You can't hide," another warned. Emily tried to ignore them, dismissing them as cruel pranks from someone in the office. But as the emails persisted, they became more personal and menacing. The sender seemed to know details about her life, her daily routine, her apartment building, even the name of her cat. Emily became consumed by fear, constantly looking over her shoulder, afraid of who might be watching her. She reported the emails to her supervisor, but without any concrete evidence, there was little they could do. One evening, as Emily was working late, her computer screen suddenly went black. She tried to restart it, but it remained unresponsive. Then, a message slowly appeared on the screen in a distorted red font. "I told you, you can't hide."
Our next tale leads us to an old office building with a long and storied history. The building was known for its quirks, creaky floorboards, flickering lights, and an old, rarely used service elevator that seemed to have a mind of its own. One day, a maintenance worker named John stumbled upon a chilling secret hidden within the building's walls. John was making his rounds, checking for any leaks or electrical problems, when he noticed something strange. One of the walls in the basement storage room seemed to be hollow. Intrigued, he grabbed a crowbar from his toolbox and began to pry at the wall. To his surprise, a section of the wall crumbled away, revealing a small hidden room behind it. John cautiously peered into the darkness, his flashlight beam dancing across the dusty interior. The room was small and cramped, filled with old furniture, boxes, and strange, unidentifiable objects covered in sheets. As John stepped into the room, he felt a wave of cold air wash over him, and the air grew thick with the smell of decay and something else he couldn't quite place, something metallic and vaguely sweet. He shone his flashlight around the room, his heart pounding in his chest. As the light settled on the far corner of the room, John gasped in horror. There, propped up against the wall, was a life-sized mannequin dressed in a tattered office uniform. Its face was painted a grotesque mockery of a smile, and its eyes seemed to follow John's every move. Suddenly, John heard a noise behind him.
Our final story brings us to a bustling advertising agency where competition was fierce and employees were constantly under pressure to perform. It was a high-stress environment where long hours and sleepless nights were the norm. But amidst the cutthroat world of advertising, a chilling mystery began to unfold. It started subtly at first. A coffee mug left untouched on a desk, a half-eaten lunch abandoned in the break room. Then people began to notice that one of their colleagues, a young and ambitious copywriter named Lisa, had been acting strangely. She seemed withdrawn and distant, her eyes filled with a haunted look. She stopped coming to work early, and she would often be seen staring out the window, lost in thought. One day, Lisa simply didn't show up for work. At first, her colleagues assumed she was just running late or taking a much-needed mental health day. But as hours turned into days and Lisa's phone went straight to voicemail, a sense of dread began to creep in. Her belongings were still at her desk, her purse, her jacket, even her phone charger. The police were called and an investigation was launched, but Lisa had vanished without a trace. Her apartment was empty, her car was gone, and there was no sign of a struggle. Her disappearance sent shockwaves through the office. Whispers and rumors spread like wildfire.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed these chilling tales, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more spine-tingling stories. Remember, the next time you find yourself working late at the office, take a moment to listen to the sounds around you.